Okay,
So
basically, we're
basically,
going to be creating this
the
new
understanding,
table.
the fundamentals of mesh.
You guys the information
is
that you
pretty
need, the height, the
interesting.
width,
Let's put it
and
that
overall
way.
size.
There
And
is
some
a
additional
tab
information
on
that
your
may help
3D
you
modeling that
creating this
says
part.
mesh.
Some
The
additional
thing about mesh
step-by-step
is you can design
processes
parts
of how I would do
directly
it and
as
how
a
I'm gonna do it
mesh,
now.
or you can
Just
create it
save
as a
this
solid
project here.
and then convert it into a mesh as needed. So you have a
So
solid
basically,
object.
how I'm going to do this
There-
is I'm going to actually design it on based on solids.
So we have a
and then I'm
box.
gonna convert
There's
it
two ways
into
of doing this. You
actual
can convert to
mesh. Where I
a
can
mesh
play
by
around with
going
it.
smooth
The
objects
best way
and
of doing
select
this
the
would
solid
be
object that
going
you created,
to
and it already
say
smooths the
a
objects, converts
left
it
side
into
view.
a mesh. So it
And I'm
makes it a
gonna
little bit
create that
smoother, as you
fork
can
shape
see.
first.
It takes the
So
corners
look at the
and fillets
actual
them
drawing
nicely.
here. This
The
fork
other
shape.
option is you can go
I'm gonna
directly
create that
from mesh,
first. I'm
create
gonna
a
as you can see, it's a
rectangle,
little rotated. I'm
and
gonna
this is
create
a
these
mesh. The way I can
different
verify it's a mesh
support
is by
tubes
selecting
to
the
complete
object,
the whole
and
entire
if you
part.
are in
So basically,
any
what I
of
want to do
these
is, if I go to my home
options
tab,
up here, you will see a
create
smooth and convert mesh
a top
tabs
portion
that
for the
open.
V
That pretty much tells you that this is a
and the base
mesh
portion
object.
for the
In previous
dimensions
versions of
out.
AutoCAD, that
I'm gonna do a
did not come
2-inch.
up here. So the way you would tell if it's a mesh is by selecting it. You'll
And
see
our
that it's
height is gonna
hatched
be
completely.
16 or 17.
Now the hatching can
Up to
be.
you.
You
And my
can
width
state
will
that it's
be
a exploded,
about 24
exploded
for this
solid
one.
that's unioned, but it can also
2-inch.
specify that
As
it's
you
a
can
mesh.
see, I'm slowly
Now, the
creating
nice
a
thing
shape
about mesh
and then
is
across
you
the
can
16.
modify it as you please.
Now
So if you have
hoping
a
your design will be
rectangle,
different
you
than
can
mine.
actually hold control,
Otherwise,
select
I don't
a
know how you
surface,
managed to copy
you can
exactly
even
what I
select
did.
an edge,
So I'm using
and you
just
can
lines
pull it
as
out
references to
just
design
based on
the overall
that
shape.
point. So you can see the rest of the whole part is not moving. That's
And I'm
because
using mirror
this
command
one
to
area, there's three
Make an
lines.
exact mirror of this.
Those three lines are getting modified when I select the corner. If I'm selecting a surface,
that got a little
like this area
off-center,
surface
so
here,
let's move that over.
it has these 4 lines, and only those 4 lines get moved, while everything connected to those
that's my
4 lines
basic
gets
shape.
pulled away.
Now if I want to
Now you don't have
modify
to even
that,
do
I
it on
can.
a y-axis. It can be on a
Change this
z-axis.
way.
It can be in any
This.
axis. This gets
And
a
if
little
I wanna go a
tedious
little lower,
because moving around you can't tell which direction you're
I can
moving.
do that as
That's
well.
why using a gizmo helps.
Gives
and
me my
it can
overall
show you
shape.
rotate
I'm gonna
3D
take
while
this
you're doing
and use
it.
the region command.
I also recommend
Either you can
typing in
type it or
distances.
look for it,
That
and
way
then extrude this
you
out
can't
by
make a
2
mistake.
inches, giving the thickness. So
Unless
that's
you're looking
one
to make a mistake.
part.
So that's
It's kind
editing
of
that part.
not
You can
exactly
also
what
select
we
more
see
than one
here in the
surface or
drawing,
more than one
but
line. So
we
if I
will
want to
make it
select,
work.
let's say,
Next path is going
this
to be
surface
this
here.
that connects these
now
two.
be careful. As you can see, I
This is going
selected the
to be
surface, but instead
important.
I selected a
I'll
back
just
line
make it a
here.
little wide.
That is one of the other
So my tape
tedious
is going to be
things.
bigger
You
than I
can easily
anticipated
deselect.
because I think I made this a little too wide. But that's alright.
So I'm going to do it again.
And I'm going to
Deselect
create
them.
a
So now I
path
have
here
3
with
surfaces
these
I
shapes,
selected.
the overall
You can
shapes.
see
So
it
if I
by
go
the points,
to
and the
a
surfaces
view
are shaded
that
in.
has this part, not front, I want to go to...
Alright, so again, all I have to do is hold
Yeah,
control.
I'm gonna
I
work
select
with
the
solid
surface.
objects
I try to
first,
keep away from
and then
any
I would add
lines that I may select by accident,
I would convert it
and
into
you
a
can
mesh.
modify the
So I'm
part
going to go with
as
the width here.
shown. See, as
Also
I'm pulling it out,
24.
any lines that
I'm gonna
are
create
not
somewhat
part of
of
that
a shape
surface,
that I
but
want.
their edge is, gets pulled out. So like this edge, so this line here,
Two
here,
pieces
here,
to connect to.
and the back 2 are being extruded out. You can actually extrude it out anywhere you like, or you can even go inwards. Now as you extrude them out, you can see the surfaces change as well.
I'm using a spline.
They are
at this moment,
modified based
and I'm only
upon
doing one
you
segment. of
extrude
it.
that one area, that
So I
one
want a
area
mirror
gets
copy of
extended,
this.
so it becomes one big
Why am I
surface.
drawing this so off.
Now if you want to split these
Second part
surfaces
here.
and modify them a little bit more, what you can do is in your mesh tab,
Sometimes when you have an
you
object
can
that's
add
somewhere out in space,
split
what I recommend
face,
is doing
which
is
allows you
creating
to
a line
split
from
faces
0, 0, and
in
just
a
moving
way
your
so that
object
you can only
to that
extrude one
you
face
see
instead of
that way
instead of a big face.
somewhere not
Or-
in space,
and you can
but
reduce it
somewhere
any
closer
shape
to where
size
you're working.
as you wish.
You can also, this is
My other part.
modify that as is. Once I have that part, what I want to do is do a quick sweep of a different
Once you have a
shape.
lot of meshing
This one
in
I'm
your
gonna
drawing, it
use
becomes very difficult for the
a
computer to process things you're doing.
ellipse,
So be careful about that. Try not to
adjusting the size
make
as
more than
needed,
one object in a drawing.
and I sweep
This does
this
take a
part,
lot of
enter this path,
computer power.
and I
that
mirror
way.
it over.
Now,
so what I
another
can actually
things you
mirror
can
both
do
of
with these surfaces, these
based
faces, you
on
can
that
actually
line.
merge them. So if you're happy, if you want to just
The
move
only
all
problem
these
is, as you can see,
surfaces here,
this line's no
so
longer going to be
these
connected.
faces,
It's going to be up a weird
and
edge.
you want to make
so
it
what
one
I may
piece,
need to do is slice it over.
you can merge the
Back to the front
face.
view. Now you can use the
This is a
slice
graphical
command
error
just
right
right here,
This is
this
should be a
corner point.
surface.
and going
But
vertically at
It's causing
90
problems
degrees.
because I
remove
made
that,
these
and here's
all
where
flat or combined, merge
this
them.
one over, and
can
I
also
can mirror
close
over
holes.
these two components.
So you would select
I'm gonna have to
the
do this again in
edges. Remember to deselect, you hold shift, and you can deselect lines or parts. Oh, this is not. Well, we can skip that.
Trying to snap. I mirrored them over, but they were too far apart, so I need to make
I'm
sure
actually
I
not
snap.
liking this design whatsoever.
specify
Go back to
corner.
my previous one. I'm gonna
Another
rechange
corner
this one a little bit. So
to
you
make
can
it
see as
smooth.
I'm selecting the
So
center
that's one
surface,
component. Next
I'm
component will
bringing it all the
be
way
a
down.
spline going the
creating a
other
unique
direction.
shape. This one is
go into
smooth one
view,
because
instead of
the edges
front.
are smooth.
This
You
time
can
I'm gonna go
unsmooth
left or
it
right
by
view.
going to smooth less, where
Also
it becomes
creating a
more of a
spline.
rectangle shape.
I don't need to
And you
connect
can
to the
also
parts just
smooth
yet,
it
I just
more.
need a
So
overall
if I go
shape.
more, I can click on that until the computer,
Goes pretty
or
high
the
'cause
program
it
will
has
tell
to
me
match
that you
with
cannot
this
smooth
component
it
here.
any more than
Also,
it
I'm
is.
going to use
That gives you
somewhat
a
of
nice
an ellipse.
smooth object. You can still modify it as you wish, but doing so really
using sweep
irritates
command.
the computer.
rotated the wrong direction.
I'm gonna delete this one so it doesn't interfere with my
So what I want to make sure is I change my UCX
cup design.
so that my ellipse will match what I'm looking for. There we go. Sweep
Ooh,
that
it's too much.
across this path here. Now I just move this over so it intersects with the center part here.
So
And just to keep the
it's
table
getting so bad that the
extremely
graphics
flush
card
at the
can't
top,
keep up with what I'm doing.
I have to go back to
Let me see if I
the
can change my
left view
conceptual.
and slice it
Upside
based
down.
on this line here.
That helped, but
Actually, I might need to
not
adjust
as much
that
as I
as
hoped.
well.
So I'll go back to
So I'm going to slice
conceptual. In any case, I have an object
this part based
that's
on this
has a unique design,
vertical
but I
line
do
here.
want to make the bottom
that,
flat.
and if
right
I
now
want
it's
as a
too
reference, I create
oddly
myself a
shaped,
line
or let's
here
say I want to
for
make the
reference,
lips.
and
I can't.
I move this part.
Yeah, I'll make the base flat.
Smooth out the
So
way.
in case you have an object, let's say you want to create a flat
normally I would just
area,
snap
but
in
you
the
want
middle,
the top
but
to be more
Running out of
smooth.
time here, so I'm going to keep it nice and simple.
Example.
Once I have all these three components and I'm
that
happy
dipped
with
in,
the overall design,
and I want to make the
of
bottom
course these shapes
flat
could be
as
lofted
possible.
instead of
You can do this by
sweeped,
adding a
so
crease.
that way that you would get a different kind of
Adding
shape,
a crease.
more realistic to the picture.
So adding
Once you're
crease,
happy
you
with
select
the
all these
overall
surfaces.
dimensioning and sizing
Again,
of the
be
parts,
careful not to
what you can do
accidentally
is I
select
recommend create a copy
a
before
line
you union it.
or an edge.
So I union this,
Again, holding shift
it becomes
removes
a
that.
one solid piece.
And I'm
and
adding
I
a
hope
crease.
that
Specify
when I use
crease
the
value.
smooth
I always
object,
keep it as always, so that it
creates it as a
stays
mesh.
crease all the
Doesn't
time.
deform it
You
too
can also
much.
remove it. Once you have a crease
Now it's smoothed
completed,
it
you can
once. If
remove
I
it.
don't like it, I can unsmooth
And that also
it.
will
So
remove
going back
it.
to
So that's
mesh,
pretty simple.
I
And now if
smooth
I
less.
smooth this out,
I'm going to add those creases because I need those creases so they're
you
flat
can see the base
the
is
ground.
completely flat.
I'm going to add a crease
If it wasn't flat,
to this surface here.
so that's with a crease, and I'll show you without a crease.
Man, this surface here. I
You
can
can
also
see
add
the
one here.
bottom edge is completely smooth.
right there.
Now, if this was like a button that you were
So
placing
those have
onto
creases,
a
and now I can
remote,
smooth it more to get
you
it
want
to
the bottom
better
to be
understand
flat so it
how
can
it looks.
be easily glued on to a specified surface or so forth. So that's, there are reasons why you want things to be exactly flat and not nicely smooth as this
do anymore.
part here.
That gives me a smooth object. You can see
You can always unsmooth and create that crease or remove a crease as needed,
which makes it nice. And if I go to a top view or sort, I can use a spline like we did before.
Let's see if I can set this up. No.
And design.
Okay, depending on how smooth your object is, it's gonna keep the number of lines that you can adjust your part with without ever changing, no matter how smooth you get. Now, if you want to have that
of what I'm looking for
to change, so it creates more lines to edit as it gets smoother, you can refine the mesh. Be careful, if you refine it, you can come up with something like this, which is
a left view before I do that.
I mean, that's way too many options. You can select one of these little surfaces and edit it, creating something really weird. So we don't do that too often, but that is an option. You can also do it here.
Now that's
using it in first.
Less than 11 minutes to create this.
Giving
now,
me
if I went a little bit more detailed, I would have made nice shapes here and use the loft command.
And of course, you guys can split faces, and if you guys go into the options, you
now
can edit the number of
forward with this on a few classes where we're going to add materials to it.
The divisions.
Do this for the,
I'm not going to even say the first divisions, 2, 4, and so forth, as you wish. So if you want a box that has more options,
there is a rendered option here where you go to browse material.
Remember, the more boxes you have, the more lines, the more definitions, the more the computer will work harder to modify that. Let's say I'm happy with a particular object, like this semi-pillow. What I can decide to do, since right now I cannot print it, it's not an STL, it can't be saved in STL, it's completely hollow, and it's not even a surface. So what I can do,
render the part.
A copy of this for a second, is I can convert this into a solid. As long as it's completely enclosed, I should be able to do that. All I need to do is go to Mesh, and there is an option to convert to solid. So I select the object, it converts it to a solid part. You can still edit it based on a... Uh-oh. There goes my computer. Like I said, so you gotta be careful if you want to edit something that's already been a mesh, because that creates issues with your computer as well. So we have a mesh, we convert to solid, you can also convert to a surface. Make a copy once more. So you can go back to mesh, convert to surface, so it's a surface now. Again, since it's a surface, it doesn't allow you to select each specified rectangle. You select the surface to modify it. It's completely hollow. This one is solid, you can 3D print this. This one you can't. And finally, this is the mesh, and I can show you guys one more, which is a simple explosion. So we explode the object, and you end up with something bizarre like this. Each little piece, if my computer can handle this, is separate. So there's actually a hole in there. I do not recommend exploding your mesh, because it will render it useless. But if it does happen, what you can do is you can use the sculpt command to try to bring it back to a solid, or you may try to union it. Select, your computer can handle this entire object, and it's not going to union it. You can also try to convert it back into a mesh. Yeah, it's not going to do it. It's created a mesh out of all these surfaces separately. So I do not recommend doing that. And of course, like I said it before, you can use the sculpt command to put it back together. The sculpt command is in the surface sculpt, and you can select the entire object as long as it's completely enclosed. Sometimes even a mesh that has been exploded and was fully enclosed before won't work because the computer crashes or it just doesn't understand how it's fully enclosed. As you can see now, I'm trying to run the sculpt command on this very detailed part, so this may not work, and especially when it's saying that it's not responding, it does not help. Did I tell you guys how much I like teaching meshing? So we have that didn't work, so let's keep it without doing that. We went over to smooth, we smooth less, we refine meshing, smooth object, which is creating a mesh object. And you add crease, remove crease, extrude faces. Extrude faces basically the same thing for what you're used to, except for this is for a mesh. So extrude faces, you can select each one separately, and you can specify a distance, and that extrudes it out. I don't know what that looks like, but that looks pretty cool. Could be a knee brace or something. I don't know. So you have that option. You have an option to convert to solid, convert to surfaces, which I don't recommend. There's another thing what you can do. If you do create a surface, you can also convert this to a mesh. And each part of, this is only split once, but you can add split faces where you can edit and modify the shape, which is also nice to work with, because if you did it in surfaces, you might not be able to divide each segment as you wish. So this one you can divide, split surfaces. Let's see. I have like this shape here. That's already something that you, if I asked you guys to create this exactly the way I have it, you'd be looking at me like, where do I start? Where are my dimensions? How do I do this? There's no way. This is freehand. It's just how it is. You can always modify it as you wish. And what other options do we need here? Collapse. Yeah, if you want to collapse things into each other, so you want collapse surfaces. Oh, that's too many surfaces. You can do that too. But there's videos on that where they give you a better tutorial option. This is the section view is the standard. The section selections, the gizmos, you guys are used to that. Those are not just for meshing, it's also for all the other commands. There are 4 different smoothing options when you do smooth an object. You can go with smooth optimize, which creates a it merges the faces pretty much. This one does not. It creates a number of faces. Well, you can read it as you wish. Also, what I always recommend, if you have the newer version of AutoCAD, it doesn't have those anymore. You used to create a preview. Now, if you can't understand what these mean, we'll go over it right now by going simply by creating I'm going to create a object here. Delete actually all these. I'll make a few of these. So we'll have 5 of these, and I'll show you which one's which. So we go to mesh. First one's the smooth optimize. So when we go to smooth, it will give us an error. Okay. Second one is the smooth not optimized. Oh, it doesn't even let you do it. Oh, okay. Oh, wrong button. Sometimes you won't even tell the difference. Next one. And the final. So you have 4 of these. They all look the same. Guess it's a bad example to use. If it's more of a complex model, that's what I should have used, then you would see a difference. Since they're all similar and they're all specced on the same spacing of the divisions, it won't make a difference. But if you really get into meshing, this may be something more that you should pay attention to. I'll be more than happy to review this with you as needed. So let's see how you guys do on your own. So how about you guys design? Let me give you guys an example. I want you to design a part that has all 4 corners, which is tricky to do. Stretched up. I want you guys to revolve the part. Take the inner surfaces. Oh, maybe I shouldn't jump so fast ahead. Don't rush, this takes some time. And we're going to merge these faces so it becomes one big box. And we're going to go down a little bit with that. I'm going to wait for you guys to catch up so we can move forward. We're going to modify just a tad more. I'm going to select there's these vertical lines here at the center on all parts, on actually these 4 sides. You can decide to go with just 1 or 2. I'm doing 2 to make my life more difficult. To rotate, not forget to get the last one, which is on the other side. And oh no, let's see here. I am going to it's not going to help me here. Yeah. Okay. You know, we have to do each side separately. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do the design I'm looking for here. So I'm going to change my gizmo to back to my move gizmo, and I'm going to move it in toward itself on both sides. Now, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, but anything close to that will show me that you know how to select just the vertical lines, and that's great. In addition to that, what we're going to do is we can actually move on to our next step, would be to go ahead and smooth it, actually. See how it comes out. Smooth more. We smooth it more to create a nice object. Now, as you can see, kind of looks more like a tooth than anything else. It's alright, but I want to make you guys add one more thing, which I'm going to unsmooth the object just a bit right after that. Smooth once, so you can see the bottom has somewhat of a surface here. I'm going to select that bottom surface, the last bottom surface. Doesn't matter which surface you decide to select. I'm just going to select the inside on all 4 of these. And I'm going to add a crease. So it creates a crease where it becomes a flat kind of area, which will not modify itself as we smooth more now. So our legs are going to be a bit more sharp at the corners. Now you can be, I'll accept this as is, or you can even modify it once more. You can unsmooth it and select the bottom, and you can pull that up like so. And finally, I'm going to just make one more crease in the middle. Let's see if I can do that. Add crease. Give me a flat area at the top. That's my overall design. From there, I'm just going to convert it into a solid and hope and pray my computer does not crash. Oh, should have made it smooth here. So when I convert it, I want to change it from, see, this is where it happens, where you can see the difference between the different options as you convert it into a solid. It becomes a very nice smooth object, where I will also place a nice designed countertop for it. So. Okay, so from that point we created the, we call this the table. I'm gonna, let's go back to top view, create a spline coming over an overall kind of design shape of the part. And of course it's going to be oversized. I'm going to extrude it out, giving it some form of thickness. And finally, move it up. Oops, I think I snapped onto something, creating a problem, so I'll do this one, move it up. Oh, come on. Left. Man, this thing is not. On a left view. Doesn't have to be perfect. These are two different components, as long as they're not overlapping. Giving me a nice table.